I like to start off too by having a little recap of how we define estate planning here in our practice. It is that I want to control my property while I'm alive and well. Plan for me and my loved ones if I become disabled, and then give what I have to whom I want, when I want, the way I want, all while assuring that my wisdom is transferred along with the rest of my wealth. So if you haven't thought about those types of things, getting the wisdom piece in, planning for incapacity, those are all things that you're going to want to incorporate into your estate plan. Okay, so funding your trust A to Z. Today we're going to talk about, these tips and tricks or recommendations for getting a fully funded revocable living trust. That's important, fully funded. So what is trust funding? Well, it is the process of transferring your assets into your trust, retitling, and coordinating beneficiary designations so that the trust controls what happens with your assets if you become incapacitated or when you pass away. If there's not a coordination of these things, your trust or even your will says one thing, but your beneficiary designations do something else. Remember, beneficiary designations control joint ownership to the accounts or asset controls. So if you want your trust to work, you've got to fund it. Whoops, kind of rolled back there quick. All right. Why is trust funding so important? Well, it is critical that your assets be titled to your trust in order to avoid probate, right? Again, either ownership or beneficiary designations. If you have assets that aren't in trust, and don't have a beneficiary, don't have a joint owner, those are probate assets and are going to need to be probated in the state where they're located or where you had resided. So in order for your trust to continue meeting your goals and actually work the way you want it to, you have to fund it. And again, fully funding. An unfunded or a partially funded trust isn't going to avoid probate. So an unfunded, right, an example of that was I signed an estate plan. I have my trust now, and I think that's good, right? I just put it on the shelf. I'm not thinking about it. I did it. It's good to go. It's not. Partially funded. That would be, where the attorney did the deed, right? They took your real property and they put it in the trust, and they gave you a list of instructions and said, here you go. See you later. Good luck on getting everything into the trust, right? That's pretty common, but that ends up with these partially funded trusts where maybe we've got the real property in, maybe we remembered to do something with, one or two bank accounts, but we have a whole lot of other things out there. So making sure your trust is fully funded is very important. Like I mentioned before, in most cases, you're going to make ownership changes. You're going to change title of the assets from your name as an individual to your name as the trustee of your trust. For some assets, typically life insurance, typically annuities, and retirement accounts for sure, you make beneficiary changes, not ownership changes. Again, the beneficiary may be the revocable living trust, but it might not be as well, especially when we're talking about retirement accounts. Those are, apples and oranges to everything else. So it is important that you talk with your estate attorney to figure out, based on your goals and objectives, your plan, how those beneficiary designations should be set up for retirement assets.